Why are tiny homes so expensive? This is a question I get asked all the time. Stay tuned because today we're going to break down what a realistic 20-foot tiny home budget could look like with a DIY price and then compare it to a builder's price. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Jillian Wise, founder of Far Out Tiny Homes. We're going to get right into it today and start breaking down what a realistic DIY budget could look like. You're going to want to know some of these price points in case you're going to be moving forward with a DIY for this year. Or on the flip side, if you are looking to move forward with a builder. I have a lot of conversations with folks who just don't have a realistic idea of what a tiny home costs to build. A lot of folks will go ahead and hop on Home Depot and try to put together an estimate, and they can come quite close, but what they always leave out is labor. And on top of leaving out labor, they're also leaving out the budget for the certification. So for the remainder of this video, I'm gonna have a screen pop up here. This is going to keep a running tab of all of the materials that we're using, and it's gonna help you get a clear vision on how much you can look to spend on a relatively inexpensive tiny home unit. So most of you know trailers for a tiny home, they can range in price from $4,000 and up. For a 20-foot tiny home trailer, you're looking about spending $5,500. Can we cut that budget? The answer is both yes and no. So for our first tiny home build, we were able to score a trailer for $2,200, and what we used was a heavy duty hauler trailer. So it had two 8,000-pound axles, the diamond plated steel sheathing on the bottom, so we were able to just frame our subfloor right onto the top of the trailer. Within this specific estimate that we're going to work through together, trailer cost I have added to overall cost is going to be the $2,200. Now, this is all a hypothetical. So this tiny house is going to be 20 feet in length, 8.5 feet in width, and about 11 feet in total height with a single loft. So we're taking into account that we want to frame out both the subfloor and the ceiling with 2x6 to allow for more room for that R30, R36 insulation. So to frame out a 20-foot tiny home on wheels with that singular loft, you're looking at spending about $1,200 in framing material. Now for this hypothetical, we are going to be using OSB sheathing. I know some of you are going to scoff at that. We're just trying to come up with the most affordable build to help all you DIYers out there understand how to put an estimate together. So with the OSB, we calculated we're going to need about 28 sheets. It's a little bit more than we needed, but you always want to make sure you account for a little bit in overages. That total came out to about $855.40. I do want to let you know that all of our numbers are coming from Lowe's. We estimated the house wrap and cap nails to be about $200, and then to install the subfloor, we are using 1/2-inch plywood, and that came out to be $369.44. So for this specific unit, we opted to do a high-low roof, as those are quick and efficient to build, and generally even someone with a smaller building skill set can build a high-low roof. It's just a single slope. We did budget $1,046 to account for all of the materials that go on that sheathing prior to installing the metal roof, and then all of the necessary hardware needed to get the job done. For our exterior siding on this hypothetical, we are using a product called T111. This product is around $38 per sheet, and every sheet is 4x8. It is really inexpensive, and honestly, you'll probably have to rip it off within a decade or so, depending on how you take care of it. But again, we're looking at just using items that are in stock at Lowe's and trying to offer the most cost-friendly estimate for a DIY project. So we estimated we would need about 24 sheets of siding, and that came out to $923.04. So even using that less quality material is still really expensive. And I'm hoping that you're finding some value within these numbers. I'm hoping that it's helping you wrap your head around how expensive it is, especially post-COVID, to build anything really. So we did decide to go for some hardy board trim. and it was relatively inexpensive. We opted for about 20 pieces, and that came into about $30. And the idea is we'll trim around the roof, we'll trim the seams, and then we would just be trimming the windows out. Generally speaking, in every tiny home build that we have done with Far Out Tiny Homes, all of the doors and all of the windows are special order, which is fine unless the manufacturer messes up. And I will tell you that we have had a few instances where the manufacturer has not created the windows that we ordered, and it set us back. You're looking at about 4 to 6 week production time for custom windows and doors. So basically, we're advising you, DIYer, that you go into the Lowe's and see, or Home Depot or whatever, and see what kind of windows they have in stock and frame to that. And you might want to purchase those windows then and there, just to make sure that when you're ready to pop them in, you have them on hand. So we decided to go Thermistar by Pella. It's a 4x4 slider window. It will meet egress if you're wanting to go ahead and certify the unit. So that's an important thing to take into account. These windows are $186 each. We opted for 3 of them within the unit. Now again, we don't really have the unit. This is just a hypothetical unit, but hey, you might put one in the living room, one in the kitchen, and then one in the lofted space. Total budget, $558. And then we did opt for a small 2x2 bathroom window. And that bathroom window was really inexpensive, and it came in at $48. Now the door, we did not opt to do anything fancy. This is a standard 3.0 front door. So we're not going small, we're not going incredibly big. There were no windows in this door. It's just a standard door, standard exterior door, and that came in at about $149. Now we're including the lofted space and the total flooring on the first floor to be around 255 square feet. Again, we did opt for the least expensive flooring, which was 99 cents a square foot, but we did add a nicer underlayment. So for the flooring budget, we're at $278.19, and then we need to include that underlayment. And basically that underlayment, it will give the floor a little bit more give. It will also insulate it just a tad. Now, one thing that you should always consider, tiny home floors get frigid. So if you can afford it in your budget, I would definitely look into some heating system in the floor. But obviously that's not in this tiny home budget, because that can cost a couple $1,000s. The underlayment came in at $134.94. Now we're going to look into insulation. We're going to use R13 in the walls, and then R30 or R36, depending on what is in stock at that specific moment, in the trailer floor, so in the subfloor, and then in the ceiling. Insulation in the walls, that came out to $417.94, and then the ceiling and floor insulation came out to $343.26. So we're keeping a running tab right now, and you can already see how quick this estimate just jumps in price. Now for the electrical, we won't get too deep into this, but we did include running the wire, installing the light switches and the electrical outlets, and a few LED lights at the very top of the home. Our total electrical budget for this specific hypothetical build is estimated around $1,000. Now, interior finish, we use a lot of pine shiplap or MDF, but those finishes can be really expensive. And so in this, we went with beadboard. So the beadboard estimation came in at $728.10, and that will cover obviously all the walls in the bathroom and the ceiling. So one item we always consider when we are creating a lofted space is some sort of railing to keep our clients or our Airbnb guests safe. The least expensive railing we have found is a pipe railing. It's super cool looking, it's very modern, and it's something most people can figure out how to do. To run the pipe railing for the length within the loft to create a safe space, you're looking at about $100 in total pipe cost. You're also gonna need a ladder to get up to the top, and you're also gonna need trim work, not only around like the baseboards, but because you're using beadboard, you're gonna need some additional trim. So our trim budget, including the ladder budget, we mixed them, is $1,500. Now let's consider our hardware budget. And this isn't just hardware in the sense of door handles or door pulls. It's going to be all the hardware that's going to secure the unit, And then we're also including all the silicones, adhesives, and caulk that you're gonna need to finish out your unit. So this $1,000 budget should cover your carriage bolts, adhesive, silicone, some other paints for touch-up, screws, hurricane ties, nails, fasteners, and switch plate covers. That's a pretty big list, and you might need a few more items depending on your own aesthetic. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the bathroom, and let's discuss some finish work in the bathroom. So we budgeted $129 for an 18-inch vanity that you can pick up today at Lowe's. It's nothing super fancy or special, but it's actually the same one that we have, that we still have in our very first tiny house. We've had that tiny house for going on 4 years now, and it hasn't failed us yet. It was very easy to install and definitely an affordable option. We also opted to include the Amazon RV tub that we did purchase for our first tiny home. The price on that is $158.75, and it can be ordered on Amazon Prime and shipped to your door within 2 days. But you also have to include that mold resistant drywall as the backer board, and then the vinyl that you're gonna put over that backer board. And that's probably the least expensive way that we found to really create a shower space that was watertight and affordable. And then lastly, a toilet. We're trying to save money here, so we didn't opt for a composting toilet because those are about $1,000. So we put in a standard flush toilet, and that came in at about $79. So then let's move into the kitchen. So to keep the budget low, you may opt to get some used kitchen appliances, mainly that being a below-counter refrigerator. You can buy a new one at Lowe's that has a nice freezer size and a nice refrigerator size as well, and the least expensive model is $521. Now we also include in the estimate exactly what we did in our Blue Baloo. If you want to take a tour, you can tour the home up here. But basically, the Blue Baloo is a utility sink with cabinetry already around it. We spent about $199 on this back when we first built our tiny home, and we just went to look at the updated version of it, and the updated version is $249. But let me tell you why this is such a steal. It comes with a really deep basin sink. It comes with a faucet already attached, and then the spray handle also comes down so you can spray within the sink. And then it comes with the slow close cabinetry underneath. And it was totally enough space to keep all of our household cleaning items below there, even including all of the plumbing that goes into it. So it's a super awesome deal, and at $250, it really is a steal. Now we're gonna head to IKEA for our cabinet and countertop. And again, we're recommending what we've already used, which is Knoxholt by IKEA. It's one of their least expensive cabinet designs, but it holds up so well. Even those laminate countertops that they put on there, I know they're relatively cheap, but we have put it to the test, and there isn't a nick, there's not a heat spot on it. So we definitely recommend this specific line of IKEA cabinetry. And we're just gonna do a 4-foot cabinet with a single drawer and 2 cabinets below with the laminate countertop. And the price of this one is $145. Now, do you have to put it together? Yes, you do, and I understand that it's a total pain in the butt to put IKEA stuff together, but I will tell you, if you do it right and you take care of it, this product lasts. And at $145, you cannot beat that. And lastly, we're gonna talk about heating and cooling. This is generally a big budget expenditure because everybody wants a mini split or they want to go a full HVAC. Well, in order to keep our prices low to get folks in tiny homes, we looked at just doing a window unit AC, which is about 6,000 BTU, and that price for that cooling unit came in at $249. And then going back to what we've already used within our tiny home, we didn't install a heating and cooling system in our Blue Baloo when we first built it because we had such a teeny tiny budget. So our heater to get us through a Las Vegas winter, which really is not a bad winter at all, we just used a radiant heater. We picked one up from Target for like $50 and it kept the space perfectly heated, and it also didn't spike our electric bill. So we kind of felt that that was a win-win. Okay, so we've made it to really how much this unit is going to cost. Now let's go over what our DIY price is going to look like. Okay, so for our DIYers, in material, you're looking at $15,052.71. Now, you have to understand when you are estimating a project, you do need a contingency. We go usually 10 to 20%. I did not put a contingency in here. We didn't add the contingency in here because we didn't have a contingency on our first tiny home build. We had to make sure that we didn't mess up. And if we did mess up, that was coming out of budget for another part of the house. You have to be aware of what you're doing, especially if you're trying to build a house for super inexpensive. But you're probably saying, Jillian, that's just material. What about tax? So because we're in Nevada, we have our sales tax right about 8%. So total sales tax was $1,317.11. So total DIY cost is $16,369.82. Okay, woo, not that bad, right? I mean, you can build a 20-foot tiny home using okay material that will last you if you take care of it, all for around $16,000. A home for $16,000. But of course, there are caveats in that. You have to be able to find that trailer for, inexpensive. You have to be able to use material wisely so you're not making a bunch of mistakes. But can it be done? Yes, it can, because I've already done it. So if I can do it, you can do it. So you really have no excuses, right? So let's talk builder price. And this is where I want to get real with all of you. We have recently opened up our financing section on our page that will pre-qualify folks. And I'm seeing some really interesting numbers come into the finance. People are trying to finance, $12,000, $17,000, all these weird numbers where tiny homes that we don't sell tiny homes for that amount of money. And they obviously can't receive funding through us if they're gonna DIY themselves. And honestly, if you are thinking about DIYing it, check out this video here, because this is going to explain how you can certify your home and get financing for it. That's not through a builder, because that's not what we do, but I do want to help you find solutions so you can go tiny. Or what I've kind of figured out is that folks are just trying to get qualified for a lower amount so then they could ask maybe for more money, or they're not understanding the price of tiny homes. So again, obviously we have a quoting tool on our website. So that's the first place you're gonna need to start if you wanna work with us. Get a rough number of how much your tiny home is gonna cost, and then you go to the financing section. But still, I wanna break down the builder price and why this is so important. Just to start out, builders are going to want to use a trailer that is new and from a trailer manufacturer that they have previously worked with, at least the majority of them, including us. So a 20-foot tiny home trailer manufactured for far out tiny homes comes in at $5,691. That's a big leap from $2,200, right? But when you're a builder, you have to make sure that the product that you are putting out there to your customers is guaranteed safe. And you can't always do that on a used trailer. Now, there is a difference in trailer budget of $3,491. So we're going to add that $3,491 to that $16,000 price tag. Now, you also have to account for the certification. The certification that builders have, this is a monthly reoccurrence for them or a yearly reoccurring bill. So obviously, if you want your unit certified, you're going to need to pay for it. And a unit of this size with a build time that we have assigned to it, you are going to spend about $700 to certify it as a builder. Now, the certification process for a single build is about twice that much. But again, if you refer back to that video of the DIY, I'll link it in the description as well. It will kind of go into more detail about that. And a good rule of thumb when you're starting to estimate out your own build, and if you do want to hire to build it, is you generally speaking, you just double the material cost to cover your labor. But things you do need to consider are the builders or the business's overhead expenses, because that has to be paid as well. So if they have a big warehouse, obviously their overhead is going to be more expensive, and so will their labor costs. So for this build, we estimate about $20,560.82 in total labor if built in 4 weeks. So the total cost for far out tiny homes to really do this unit and do it correctly with it certified on a brand new amazing trailer, it came in at $41,121.46, which is still really affordable. But I know some of you are going, wow, that's just such a huge leap. Well, the thing is, you're not wrong, but we have to understand in this business and you out there watching that these are humans building your home, and they are going to put their heart and soul, at least our builders, they put their heart and soul into every single build, and we treat our people well. You do have to pay for labor. And my husband, Josh, you guys know him, he's always saying that material doesn't outweigh humans, that we have to be able to take care of one another to live a happy, healthy life. And he's not wrong. So that's our budget breakdown. I hope that you understand a little bit more on why tiny homes are priced the way they are. So please don't go and compare these numbers to other tiny home builders, because everybody uses different materials across the board. This was just to help out our DIY folks. If you're interested in this $41,000 tiny home, please reach out, leave a comment below. I can reach out to you. For the first 2 builds of this specific tiny home, we are going to offer some discounts, so even further making it more affordable. So if you want to speak more about this specific design and what we can do for you, please let us know. We are here to help everyone. So thank you so much for watching. We love each and every one of you. We are about at 1,000 of you beautiful people out there consuming this content, and it just overjoys me that you and I are making this movement move. So thank you so very much. And as always, you know what to do. Keep it groovy.